You used natural therapies. There were quite a few different things that you did. How did you decide which route to go in terms of either visiting, the right kind of doctor and adding in all the other things like you talked about, like the mental part of it and the physical exercise, things like that? How did you go about incorporating all those different levels into your treatment?
Well, I had been doing meditation, so that was something that I just continued. I had prayed, so that was something. I think my faith was very much strengthened during this process. I read about visualization, so I added that because people were visualizing, and it was being successful, they said, but there wasn't a lot of research at that time. So a lot of what I did, the mental spiritual, was based on the Casey readings that I had looked at, and the doctors, I say, prescribed all of the physical things and gave me the rationale for each thing, and they made sense. For example, the Laetrile. Traditional literature will tell you that Laetrile will kill you or send you to the emergency because it has cyanide in it. And I said, ignorance is bliss, because I didn't know that, and it didn't have any effect on me. No. And I think what they don't tell you is that it requires certain enzymes to activate the cyanide. Cancer cells have those enzymes, but normal cells do not. And so it kills the cancer cells, but it doesn't affect the normal cells. It's the same as high-dose vitamin C, which is another one. When you give the high-dose vitamin C, it changes the cancer cells, the enzymes, convert it to hydrogen peroxide, which kills the cancer cells, but normal cells don't have that enzyme, and so it doesn't affect them. So many of the natural things, have effect just on the cancer cells and not on the normal cells, which I think is fantastic. One thing my doctor also told me, which I'm finding that the research came out 5 years ago, and my doctor gave me this 44 years ago, so his practice was like 40 years ahead of research, and that was high-dose vitamin A. He told me 200,000 units, international units, the first week, 100,000 the second week, and 50,000 for the next year. And the normal, as you know, is 5. Yeah. So I said to him, I'm very concerned about taking this much vitamin A because it's a fat-soluble vitamin, so the excess is stored in the fat. And he said, well, I'm going to give you high-dose vitamin E to reduce the toxicity. I said, yeah, but vitamin E is another fat-soluble. And so I took them, and I had no bad effect. And what he told me was that it would cause the cancer, the normal cells, it would prevent the normal cells from converting to cancer cells. And the research 5 years ago used vitamin A, or a component of vitamin A, with breast cancer cells, with normal cells, with precancer cells. Did nothing to the cancer cells, nothing to the normal cells, but it reverted the precancer cells back to normal cells. And what's interesting is the research. I read the research every Sunday, pretty much, and the natural things. And what they have found is that turmeric does the same type of thing. If you take turmeric at a certain level, it will revert the cancer cells back to normal. So it's the same type of process. And it's less toxic than the vitamin A. The potential is not there. I didn't have any toxicity from the A, but with that high dose, that is a potential. And so when I talk with people now about my protocol, I suggest that they have a nutritionist or a naturopathic doctor that they can consult through the process, because it does have the potential of being toxic.